I like the pictures there. What about Tommy Barrass's future? So one key bulldog out at the kennel. Ralphie, can you crystal ball this and see potentially who could come in? And if it's a straight swap in this regard, I think Bulldogs fans might be happy.
Yeah, so we wrote a couple of weeks back, or a couple of months back, that the Dogs are really heavily into Tom Barrass. But, would they be able to get the deal done? I think they absolutely knew that Bailey was going. So that's why they gave up 10, 17 in that future first for Riley Sanders, who's coming along nicely. He's the inside mid that Bailey potentially wasn't the last couple of years. So if it is they get pick 6 from Hawthorn, or they get a future first, or whatever it is, you trade that for a Tom Barrass who's turning 29. And I think McAwee, right in tomorrow's paper, made some calls. I think he's open to at least considering it. So you've got Liam Jones, you've got Tom Barrass, you've got an elite midfield.
The Bulldogs desperately need a player of Tom Barrass's calibre to stiffen that whole back.
They're playing Fraser there, they're playing Luca Camus forward and back. Couldn't agree more.
Bulldogs fans watching this now think out Bailey Smith, in Tom Barrass. I'd imagine that's a huge win. We've got Marcus Bontempelli, Jamara Ugle-Hagan, Aaron Norton back in their team. Their win now, and Tom Barrass's win now.
And it's not a full top-up only for the future, because you've brought in players like Harvey Gallagher, and we know they've got so much excitement there with their young key forward. So it's the perfect time for them to give up a first rounder for a bloke who might only have 4 or 5 years left.
You mentioned the Cats. We've got to move on, Ralphie. Harley Reid, he is going to be a rich man. What is the latest on his contract situation?
About my acting career, I think it's died in the tracks there. Hey, Harley Reid could accept the biggest deal in football history if he wanted to in 3 years. So there's a lot of talk about that 4th-year deal. Clarkie, you've talked about West Coast trying to secure him as much as $1.5 million. That has to compensate him for being basically screwed over for those first 3 years of a mandatory 3-year deal.
Like every other player is.
Of course. So I think the expectation, though, is if they are to re-sign him, it would be at $2 million. That's the deal to compensate him. Clubs have indicated to his management that they would be prepared to go $18 million over 10 years.
Say that again.
Victorian clubs, $18 million, 10 years. Now, that's an indication. You could say it's laughable until you consider that in 2017, Dustin Martin signed for 7 years at $1.3 million. Buddy Franklin, 10 years, $10 million, 9 years.
9 years,
Salary caps have increased.
Of course they have. So I still think that he doesn't want to do that. The smart option is for him to get financial security, tuck the 4th year in, so he'll earn about $3 million over 4 years, as you should, and then you get the massive payday at West Coast, or you consider the rival offer.
In a word, who has the biggest crack? Which Victorian club has the biggest crack? If you could put it in a time capsule.
Essendon always has the biggest crack.
That's where he trained before he was drafted. Hey, hair